Hi, welcome to Goal Setting, the Power of Three. I'm Leo Flowers, the life coach at Live in Fitness. Today we're going to talk about how to set goals in 3-month increments. If you look at companies like Nike, Microsoft, any major corporation, Walmart, they all do quarterly assessments. Every 3 months, they sit down and they look at what they've done, how it's worked, and what they need to hone to make it work for the next 3 months. And so we're going to take that same concept and apply it to your life. If companies who make $1 billion a year, right, do this every year and they're successful, why wouldn't you do that for your life? Sit down every 3 months and assess what you've planned, how it's worked, what the obstacles were, and then look at what you need to plan for the next 3 months. It's very important. A lot of people like to sit down and make New Year's resolutions. They're like, this is what I'm going to do for the year. An entire year is way too long to stay focused and stay intense and stay on track for what you want to do. Could you imagine planning something out for an entire year and then waiting till the end of the year to see if what you've planned out works? That's way too complicated. When you break your goals down into 3-month increments, it allows you to stay focused. It stops you from being bored, and it gives you something to shoot towards. All right. So especially with weight loss, you look at even P90X. That's a great workout system. It's 90 days, because after 90 days, you kind of burn out on it and you need to set a new goal and you need to have a new challenge. So especially in the area of like weight loss and getting in shape, you want to have a 3-month goal, right? You want to get your body fat down to a certain weight, or you want to get your 6-pack abs in 3 months, and then you can switch your workout up after 3 months and have a whole new workout plan. Who wants to do the same workout for an entire year? You'd get bored. Another reason why you really want to have your workout done or set your goals for 3 months is that in case something goes wrong in that first 3 months, then it gives you enough time to get back on track. You know, you might lose your job. You might get injured. You might get sick. Who knows? Life happens. So instead of creating just one goal that you're going to try to achieve at the end of the year, and then if something happens in that first 2 weeks or 3 weeks where you get off track and then go, oh, I'm just not going to do it for the rest of the year, which is what most people do. They set a New Year's resolution, and most people in the first week break their New Year's resolutions, and then they feel like they've messed it up for the entire year. Whereas if you get off track with a 3-month goal, then you have enough time to get back on track, and then you have enough information to look at what you planned to see if it actually worked, to see if you should continue doing that same thing for the next 3 months. All right. The key thing, though, is when you're setting goals, and this is the part that most people miss. When you're setting goals in these 3-month increments, the key part is you have to have a reward set in place. You have to reward yourself. I mean, it would be horrible for like the Lakers to win a championship and then they didn't get a trophy, or they weren't popping bottles, right? It would be awful to win in the Olympics and then you don't get a gold medal, you get to stand on top of that podium or stadium. So you have to reward yourself. Now, especially in the area of weight loss and getting in shape, what happens is a lot of people reward themselves at the end of that 3 months, but they do it in a way that takes away everything that they've built on. For instance, if your goal is to get to 180, right? And then you get to 180 at the end of that 3 months, you've lost 50 pounds or 100 pounds or whatever it is you did to get there. Then most people celebrate by doing what? They eat pizza. They go out, they drink for a weekend, they go out, they eat gyros, they're partying it up, and now they're gaining all the weight, slowly gaining all the weight back that they've just lost, because they think that they're rewarding themselves. Woohoo, I lost the weight. Now let's destroy everything that I've worked hard towards. So when we look at rewarding ourselves, the key part of that reward is it has to add value. Let the reward add value to your life. Let that reward propel you and set up something else for you in the future. For instance, if you lose 50 pounds or 100 pounds, or you get your six-pack abs in the 90 days, then you reward yourself with a massage or going bungee jumping or taking a trip somewhere. Those are things that will enhance your life and not take away all the work that you've built in the last 90 days. That's what we want to do. We don't want to do anything like drinking and eating and things that are going to distract. We want to do things that are going to enhance our lives and make our life better for the next 3 months. Okay? The other part is that when we reward ourselves with that, then it encourages us to stick to our goal. When you know that you're going to go to Bali in 3 months, or you know you're going to like take a trip with the family at the end of 3 months, that gives you something to work towards. The other part of creating a reward system at the end of your 3-month goal is that you want to make sure that it's independent of your actual goal. A lot of people, when they're trying to lose weight, they think that the reward is fitting into those skinny jeans or fitting into that dress or being able to walk on the beach with their shirt off. That's not the reward. That's the result. That's what comes with the hard work. The reward is something in addition to the result. The reward is something independent of the result. The pants, squeezing into those pants, getting into that dress, all that is not the reward. That's the result. Okay? You need to have that reward in place. The other part about goal setting is you do it in 3-month increments. You also then want to be aware of what you're going to do for the next 3 months. So you set up, you have your year-long goal, but you break that down into quarterly goals. That way, because people are most vulnerable in terms of falling off track and backtracking when they've achieved their goal. That's when people have the hardest time staying focused. You look at any championship team, right? Do they always have, usually a championship team doesn't have as great a season as they had the previous season, right? Because they won and now all the energy is gone, the intensity is lost, and they spent so much time celebrating, they never really sat down and planned for what they're going to do for the next season. They put all that energy into the first season, and now the next season, they're like 0-78 or whatever that is. So you really have to think, what your long-term goal is for the year. You want that, but you want to break that down into quarterly increments and what your plan is going to be for each one of those quarters. Okay. And then on top of the reward, you have to have a punishment. You have to be willing to punish yourself for not sticking to your game plan. Now, a lot of people punish themselves, but they also do that the wrong way also. And that, if you're trying to lose weight and you have a diet plan set in place, and for some reason you don't stick to your diet plan for the day, maybe you eat a whole box of Oreos, or you have one too many drinks that you hadn't planned for. So then you feel bad, right? And then the next day, what do? You starve yourself. You starve yourself. Now you're setting yourself back, right? Because you're getting off track 2 days in a row. You think that by starving yourself on the next day that, this will make up for the day before. But really what you've done is you slowed down your progress, because what we really are aiming for is creating a new habit, creating a new pattern. And if you create a habit or pattern of binge eating or overeating and then starving yourself, well, that's not going to do you well for the long term. Okay. So when you get off track, don't backtrack and don't try to make up for what you've lost. Just get back on track. Just get back on schedule. You can't go back. You try to go back, now you're slowing down the development and the formation of a habit that we really want to build for the long term. We really want you to stick to that diet plan. So if you're starving yourself from the next day, then you're slowing down making that a habit. It takes about, they say 21 days to 30 days to make something a habit. So we really want to get those days in a row in there. So when people punish themselves, don't punish yourself by doing something that's taking away or slowing down the work that you've already laid down. You want to put a punishment in place that, like, you know, if you binge eat for the day, maybe you don't get to watch your favorite show that you DVR'd. Maybe you don't get to go to the movies on the weekend. So a punishment in that, nothing that's going to take away from your diet or from your exercise. You don't want to punish yourself by going to the gym and doing 2 hours on a treadmill, or trying to do 1,000 push-ups, or I'm going to squat, 500. You don't want to overdo it. Okay. So when we punish ourselves, don't go back, just get back on track. That's what we want you to do, and have it be something independent of the goal and the plan that you've laid out. So also, when you create your goal, right, for that 3-month period, expect an 80% hit rate. And what I mean by that is you have your plan every day, and no matter how hard we plan, no matter what we've laid out, life happens. There's going to be some interruptions. You might get fired, you might get injured, things of that nature. So there are going to be things that throw you off track. So don't be discouraged if in that 3-month period, everything doesn't go according to plan, because nothing goes according to plan. Any successful company, no matter how great they are, how big they are, things don't always go according to plan. But you want about an 80% hit rate in terms of give yourself a 20% wiggle room. Give yourself some room to, eat a little extra on a day, or to miss a workout. We can't, as much as we want everything to run perfectly, it doesn't. And that's just called life. First thing my clients ask me is, how do I set a goal? How do I create a plan that's going to get me from A to B? And the first thing I say to do is, tell me about your day. Tell me what your day looks like already. Okay? And I do that to see and to help them see what their day looks like. Because a lot of times we get caught up in behaviors and patterns and doing things, and we don't even realize we're doing it. We don't even realize we're spending 4 hours watching TV after work. We don't realize that, we do great in the morning. We get up, we work out, we eat right, and then at lunch, we let it all fall apart. We don't realize that we're spending way too much time, at work, and not enough time with our friends and family. We don't realize that until we sit down and write it down. So once we've written down what our day already looks like, right? Then what we do is we write down what we want our day to look like. What time do we want to get up in the morning? What time do we want to have breakfast? What time do we want to have lunch? How much time do we want to spend with our friends and family? How much time do we want to spend at work? We look at all those little things. And then we look at, what do we want to have for lunch? What do we want to have for breakfast? What do we want our dinner to look like? What do we want life after work to look like? Do we want to come straight home? Do we want to spend that with friends? A lot of times people will say, I don't have enough time. It's not that you don't have enough time, it's just that you haven't managed the time that you do have. You haven't planned to spend time with your friends and family. You haven't planned to send out those emails. You haven't planned to sit down and write that book. You haven't planned to travel, to plan a vacation. And you're like, I can never take a vacation. Well, let's sit down and plan for that. We look at what you're doing and what you've done, and then we look at what you want to do. And we create a plan, and we make that manageable. And we look at your goals. Do you want to spend more time with your family? Where can we do that within your day? Maybe you can come home for lunch. We look at, do you want to work out? Well, when's the best time for you to work out? Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? Can you work out during lunch? We look at your style of workout. Maybe you're not getting any results with your workout. So then we say, hey, Maybe we put you in another gym, which worked for you in the past. A lot of times clients come to me and they feel like they're at a loss in terms of losing weight, or they don't know how to connect with their family, or they don't know how to, they want to write a book and they're like, I can't write a book, whatever that is. A lot of times the things that the goals that the clients have, they've already done. So I ask them, what did you do that worked for you in the past? And then how do we do that now? And how do we keep you doing that for the next 3 months? How did you connect with your friends and family? How did you write the first few pages of your book? Right? When you lost the weight the first time, how'd you do that? And so by looking at how they did it the first time, right, it allows me to see a few things. One, it allows me to see where they got off track. Did they get off track once they've lost the weight? Did they get off track before they achieve their goal? And then that way we can plan for those obstacles in the future. A lot of times when people plan, they don't include the obstacles that they might encounter, right? They don't think about, oh, what if my friends, want to go to Vegas for the weekend, right? Or what if my family comes in town for the weekend and it's a family reunion and now there's food all over the place and the kids and I'm stressed out, right? So we plan, and people think sitting down and creating goals and a plan, it's limiting them. Like they have to stick to this like it's a robot. But no, really what it does is it gives you a blueprint for what it is you really want to do. So when those moments do arise where you're stressed out or you feel off track, you have something in place to put you back on track. You have something in place to help you refocus, so that the problem isn't getting off track. People think they have to stay on track the entire time. That's not it. What goal setting does is when you fall off track, it allows you to immediately get back on and get right back in a routine. Like if you work at a company or in a factory, the factory already has a system in place of, like this lady puts on the bottle caps, that guy checks the bottles, somebody else is quality control. There's already a system in place. If somebody gets hurt or can't perform their job, or they have to take a day off, when they come back to work, the system's still running. So then they're able to get right back on track and get started again. They don't punish themselves. Nobody gets upset. So it's the same thing in life. You have to be able to, you have a plan in place and you have goals in place so that when you do get off track, when life does happen outside of what you planned for, you could immediately get back on track and get the ball rolling and keep the ball rolling. When they look at basketball players, successful ones, great ones like Kobe Bryant, he's great because even if he misses 2 or 3 shots in a row, he has a system in place of how to shoot the ball. He knows he has to follow through. He has to flick his wrist. He has to look the ball into the basket. He has a plan in place for how to be the best athlete and how to get that ball into the basket. So even when he misses, he just goes right back to the plan because he knows eventually it's going to work out for him. It's the same thing with your life. We create goals so that you can then, when you get off track, get right back on track. Now, like I said, the first part is look at what you've done, right? Then write down what it is you want to do. That's the second part. What do you want your day to look like? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to happen in the next 3 months? Okay? And then we create a plan of how we make that happen. So when we create our goals, there are the 3 M's of goal setting. One, it should be meaningful, right? It should be important to you. It should have a purpose. You should know why you're doing what you're doing. Like a lot of women are able to lose the weight for their wedding because their wedding means a lot to them. A lot of people lose the weight to go on vacation because, looking good on the beach means a lot to them. A lot of people want to write a book because they want to inspire other people and share their story about what they went through. Or maybe your goal is to connect with, a family member that you haven't talked to in 10 years. Whatever your goal is, it has to have meaning. It has to resonate somewhere emotionally. Because that way, when you get off track or there, some things happen in life to distract you from your goal, you immediately want to get back on. And with that emotion comes passion and drive and comes focus. So the first M of goal setting is it has to be meaningful. It really has to have a strong why behind it. The second part is it has to be measurable. We have to know if our plan is working or not. If your plan, for instance, is to write 3 pages a day for the next 90 days, that's measurable. We can look and see if you've written 3 pages a day. If your plan is to call your mother once a week, that's measurable. We can look to see if you've done that, throughout the 90 days. So whatever your goal is, it has to be measurable. Just to say, hey, I want to lose weight, that's not measurable, right? Just to say, I want to write a book, that's not measurable. So it has to be a specific goal that we can measure on a 3-month period or a day by day or however you set it up in terms of your goal. The third part of goal setting is it has to be manageable, right? It has to be manageable, meaning that when you look at your day, right? That's why we create a schedule. We look at your schedule. When you look at your day, can you feasibly really get this done in the time that you have and with all the other things that you have to do, right? Like if your goal is to write 1,000 pages a day for your book, but you're running a company, you're a single parent, you have to get your kids to school, you have to pick your kids up from school, you have to manage employees. Well, then writing 1,000 pages isn't really manageable, right? If your goal is to lose 10 pounds a day, that's not manageable. So we want to make sure that your goals are 1, meaningful, 2, measurable, and 3, manageable. Any one of those areas, if any one of those areas aren't in place, any one of those M's aren't a part of your goal setting, then you're going to fall off track more often than not, right? The other part about goal setting is you want to have goals in place because we don't want our life to be an accident. If you don't have a goal for yourself, if you don't have a plan for yourself, then you're going to live somebody else's goals. You're going to live somebody else's plan, right? If you don't know what you want to do with your day, then when your buddy calls you and say, hey man, let's go out drinking, you're going to go because you don't have a plan in place. If your friends say, hey, let's eat an entire pizza, you're going to eat that entire pizza because you haven't planned out your diet. Your friends say, hey, let's go rob a bank. I'm not saying you're going to go rob a bank, but chances are if you don't have a plan in place and you're not really doing anything and you don't know what you should be doing, you might go rob that bank. So you want to have a goal set up every 3 months so that it's meaningful, measurable, manageable, right? And so that your life now has purpose and your life has direction. So in summary, when we look at goal setting, think of creating a 3-month action plan, okay? 3 months. Keep in mind what your long-term goal is for the year, but break that down into 3 months. If you want to write a book, break that down into 3 months. What do you want to accomplish in 3 months? Do you want to have 50 pages written? Do you want to write the entire book in that 3 months? And then in the next 3 months, revise what you've written. And in the next 3 months, have somebody else revise it. And then in your last 3 months, you come back and look at it and then create a finished product. So that's what I mean in terms of, creating 3-month action plans. If you're trying to lose weight, you want to work out, set in place, what kind of workout you want to have for the first 3 months. I change my workout up every 3 months. Like for this 3 months right now, I'm focusing on doing body weight stuff, push-ups, pull-ups, TRX bands. The next 3 months, I'll be focusing on kickboxing. Next 3 months, it'll be weights. The next 3 months, it'll be Krav Maga. So I have 3-month plans in place already. I know exactly what I'm gonna do and when I'm gonna do it. So for homework, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to write down 2 to 3 goals you want for the year. Okay? Do you want to build a relationship with your family? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to lose weight? Whatever that is, okay? And then create a 3-month action. And then second thing I want you to do is then sit down and look at your day. Look at what your typical day already is. From the time you wake up, what time do you wake up? What do you eat for breakfast? Maybe you don't eat breakfast, all right? What time do you go to work usually? What do you do after work? What do you eat for lunch? Who are you eating lunch with? All those, be as detailed as possible, okay? So once you have the day that you want in place in terms of how you want your day to look, then I want you to figure out how to incorporate your 2 to 3 goals in that day, right? They have to be meaningful, manageable, and measurable. So if you want to connect with, your family members more, then within that day, where can you do that? Maybe you want to make the phone calls to your brother or sister or your family member at the end of the day, or maybe it's better to do it during lunch, or maybe you just want to do it once a week, right? If you want to eat right, or eat a healthier lifestyle, what are we going to eat? What are our meal plans for that day? You have to have that planned out. Where are you going to eat? Who are you going to eat that with? Because you want to look at what it is you've been doing, because that'll help you identify some problem areas, some areas that need to be improved on, right? By looking at what your day looks like and looking at what you want your day to look like, you can then better see areas that you need to improve on, right? If you want to get a job promotion, okay, and then you realize that the way that your day is structured and the way you've been, the times you've been going into work and the times you've been leaving to work and the amount of work that you've been getting done isn't conducive to you getting that job promotion, then you can create a plan for how to better manage your time, or how to be more productive, or how to add more value to your business or to your job so that you do get that job promotion. Once you've written down and looked at what your day is typically look like and what you want your day to look like, then what I want you to do for homework is to, in the area of family, work, and business, write down one goal for each one of those areas. Just one goal. And then what I want you to do is create an action plan or action steps for each one of those goals. Okay? So if your job, if one of your goals is to, like I said, get a promotion, a job promotion, then maybe your goal is to take the boss out, for lunch once a week, or to network, or to take a class that would then add value to your skills and then allow you to become more of an asset to your company, right? So, or maybe your goal is in terms of family, like you want to take the kids out on an outing every weekend, fishing, movies, camping trip, whatever it is. So those are all very specific things that are measurable, meaningful, and manageable. So in the areas of family, social, and work life, I want you to create one specific goal for each one of those, and an action plan for those, and then incorporate that into how you want your day to look. I'm Leo Flowers with Live in Fitness. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.